Hello everyone, welcome back to Cloud Deep Dive. In today's video, we will talk about a newly launched feature, Amazon Application Recovery Controller. In this video, we will talk about different components of this new feature, its use cases, and will give you a demo as well. If you have already subscribed to our channel, thank you so much guys for your support. And if you are new to our channel, please subscribe to our channel and press on the bell icon to get latest updates from our channel. So what is Application Recovery Controller? This is the new feature launched by Amazon under Route 53 umbrella. So currently, if you have a setup where your application is running either in multi-AZ environment or multi-region environment, and you might have Amazon Route 3 configured there with a failover routing policy that one is as your primary region and another one is your failover region, and having some health checks, and those health check might be you can configure like those health check for your TCP, HTTP or HTTPS to monitor an endpoint, or your CloudWatch health check, or calculated health check, you can use it. But there are certain scenarios, like suppose you want to do a manual failover from one region to another region because of increased latency in one of the region for one of the services. Because of that, your service or your application might be impacted and you want to do a failover for that. And there might be another use cases as well, which I'll be covering towards the end of this video. So please watch this video till end, and you will get to know what all use cases this application recovery controller will solve. So the way it works, that it has three different capability or component, you can say, is readiness check, routing control, and safety rules. What readiness check does is that it monitor all your resources in these regions, and make sure that there is no issue with those resources, and that you can use to make sure that whenever you're failing, and if there's issue with any of the resource in the region 2, then you don't want to fail over, because your application might get an issue, right? One of the example I can give, like if you have a load balancer in region 2 and it does not have any healthy instance, so even though you fail over to region 2, your application won't work because you don't have any healthy instance to send the traffic or kind of to take the traffic. So the readiness check helps you to monitor your whole application stack, not even a single resource. So you can create multiple readiness check for your resources to monitor your whole application, and at a central location it will show you that your whole application is ready or not. Second is routing control. Routing control redirect traffic to a healthy application replica at the press of a button. So it's the on and off switch you can create within AWS, which helps you to route traffic from region 1 to region 2. So with the click of single button, you can say that, hey, instead of sending traffic to region 1, send the traffic to region 2. Third is safety rules. Safety rules, these are kind of guardrails which you can put before failing over to your replica region. You can place some guardrails in place, and you can say that these criteria should be met before you are moving to another, before you are failing to another replica. So these are the three components which will be talking in detail in upcoming slides and in the demo as well. Let's start with readiness check. A readiness check continuously monitor AWS resource capacity, configuration, AWS quota, and routing policies, and provides information that you can use to successfully recover from application failure. Readiness check helps to ensure that your recovery environment is scaled and configured to failover to when needed. So basically what it does, that they check the configuration of like auto scaling groups, or your EC2 instances, or your EBS volumes, load balancer, Amazon RDS instances, DynamoDB, and there are several other resources which readiness check can check to make sure that they are up and running. One of the example is like AWS service limits. This readiness check makes sure that you have enough capacity to deploy in that region where you're falling off. So if you don't have enough capacity to scale to handle the traffic, then your region is not ready. Then it won't let you, or that basically it will mark you that this region is not ready, and that's the level of checks it does, and provide you upfront that you are failing over to this particular region which is not ready. So it has 5 different components. Basically, first is AWS resource, and AWS resource, this readiness check can, uh, if I remember correctly, that it has around 17 or 18 different resources you can use, like ESG, EC2 instance, databases, ELB, auto scaling group, and several other. So what it does that it checks for these resources to make sure that they and for each resource basically you have several different rules which readiness check. Suppose you are talking about ALB, so for under ALB you might have 10 to 12 different uh, s- uh, rules which is going to check before it says that ALB is ready. So all those rules will be evaluated for that ALB to before saying that this resource is ready to take the load. Next comes a cell. Cell is basically you can say a particular region or particular availability zone depending upon your application. Suppose your application is designed as a multi-region, so you can consider one region as your one cell, and you failover happen between your cells from one cell to another cell. So either you can have a region as a cell, or you can consider your availability zone as a cell. So based on your application, and you can have the nested cells as well, like you have multi-region, one cell for each region, and then you have one cell for each availability zone as well. Next is recovery group. Recovery group is basically the whole application setup. So suppose you have multi-region architecture. So recovery group contain or have all the regions which comes under your uh, basically application. And recovery group is uh, the the like you see here, ready or not ready. So it will be ready when all the components or all the resources within all the cells are ready. So you have a recovery group, under that you have cells, and under the cells you have your AWS resources. Next is resource set. Resource set is basically you can create a set of similar AWS resource in a set, like ASGs or ALBs or EC2 or database, and I'll show you in my next slide as well, maybe down one or two more, where how the resource set look like in an architecture. Readiness check happens on a resource set. So suppose you created a resource set for all the ASGs, and under ASG you may have 10 to 12 different rules, which readiness check will evaluate those ASG against those rules, and if all the rules pass, then it will say that that particular ASG or all the ASG under that resource set is ready. They can handle the traffic. So in this example, you can see that this cell is ready because all the resources are ready. Readiness checked this ESG, this ESG, this database, and whatever number of rules for this particular database and ESG is configured, it will check all those rules and say that everything is good. They are good to go. But this particular database is having some issue, so it marked as not ready, and because of that, the whole recovery group is not ready. So to give an example, like if your traffic currently this particular cell is taking or region is taking your traffic, and this region goes down, now you need to route your traffic to this particular region, and if this region is not ready because one of the database is down, it cannot handle your traffic. So that means that if any traffic will come to this region, it's not gonna suffer. Basically this particular region won't work because one database is down. So there's no point of routing the traffic to this particular region. So it give you upfront that whether your region is ready to take the traffic or not, and if not, then it will tell you which particular resource is not ready, and then you can work and make sure that resource is up and running before you need to, or before you route your traffic to this particular region. So similar, just an example that you have two different region have load balancer, and you have two different instances running or registered with this load balancer. So right now your traffic is going to this particular region, and you need to fail over to the another one. So I'll just map how the cells looks like. So you can say that the whole application is a recovery group. So this whole application is a recovery group, and each region is a cell. So cell 1 and cell 2. Then the resource set is basically like I mentioned, the readiness check for ALB. So you can create one resource set. So I'll create one resource set that will have these two ALBs under that resource set, and readiness check will happen on these ALBs, on both the ALBs. The second resource set, suppose I have auto scaling group as well, so I can create a resource set for the auto scaling group. So one auto scaling group in cell 1 and one auto scaling group in cell 2. I will create a second resource set for that, which will have two auto scaling group, and a readiness check will happen to those auto scaling groups. So that's how it is mapped to your resource set and to your architecture. So let's go to console, and I'll show you that how you can create all these components. So that will make more sense to you, and I'll show you how the readiness check and the recovery group ready or not ready work. Okay guys, I have logged in into my console, and we'll go to Route 53, and under Route 53 you will see a new tab, Application Recovery Controller. So I'll first show you readiness rules. So remember in the slide I was talking about that you can create resource set for different AWS resources, and these are the AWS resources which application recovery controllers support, like MSK cluster, scaling group, load balancer, cloud virtual RM, DNS target resource, EBS volume, DynamoDB table, and there's few more like RDS, application load balancer. And for each of these resource type, it has different rules, readiness rules, which, so suppose you are creating a resource set for the application load balancers. So the readiness check will evaluate or inspect all these 12 rules, and if all the rules is inspected and it's satisfied, then it will say that application load balancer is ready. If any of the rule is not satisfied, then it will say the application load balancer is not ready. Next, let's go to readiness check, and to configure the readiness check, what we need to do, first we need to create a recovery group. Recovery group, like I mentioned, is the group or the whole application represents. So let's create a new recovery group. I will say my web app recovery group. And if you remember, under recovery group we had cells, so we will create two cells. If you don't want, you can skip that and you can add it later as well, but since we need two cells, one for each region, so we'll do that as well. So I'm using two region, one is US East 1 and one is US East 2. Let me just make sure, yes, I'm using US East 1 and US East 2. So I'll create two cells for those, and we'll do the create recovery group. So we got our recovery group, and under that we got our two cells. Before I move forward, I want to show you that what I have done as a setup behind the scene, that I have two ALBs running, one in US East 1 and one in US East 2, and they have one instance running behind them as a target. So if I go to US East 1, this is the instance running in my US East 1, and I have a load balancer and the target group as a target that particular instance, which is healthy. And similarly for my another US East 2, I have a load balancer for US East 2 with that as target group and one target to that as well, which is healthy. So we have created the recovery group, and I showed you what application I am running right now in two different regions. So next we need to create the resource set. So let's click on resource set, click on create, and give ALB resource set. So what we will be doing, we will create a resource set for our application load balancer to check whether the load balancers are healthy or not in both the regions. From the resource type, we'll select application load balancer or NLB, and we'll add the ARN. So let's go to my US East 1 and get my ARN number. We'll add it here. Then we'll go to US East 2 and we'll get my ARN number. and we'll click on create resource set. So you can see that we created a resource set with two load balancer, one in each region. So that resource set can span between your regions as well. So out of our 5 components which I showed in the PPT, we created our recovery group, right? And sorry, let me go here. We created our recovery group. Under that we created our cells. We have our AWS resources, and the last we created our resource set as well. So now we will start with our readiness check. And like I mentioned, each readiness check will be for one resource set. Since we have created only one resource set for ALB, so we will be creating one readiness check for that. But if you have different or multiple resource sets, suppose one for ALB, one for ASG, and one for DynamoDB, so you have to create multiple readiness check for each type of resources. So let's give a name, my web app ALB readiness check, and in the resource type I'll check ALB. And like I mentioned that if you are creating for auto scaling group, then you have to create a different readiness check only for the auto scaling group. Click on next. We'll use say existing resource set. So from here as well, you create a new record resource set, or you can use already created and then you can select it from this list, and it will show you what all identifiers you have or what all resources you have under this resource set. Next, it will show you what all rules is going to inspect, like I showed you in my earlier screen as well under the rules. So these are the rules is gonna be inspected by this readiness check for this ALB. Next, you have to you can either associate a new recovery group, or you can do it without that as well, but we are going to do the association with the recovery group which we created earlier. So I'll select that, and then you can tell that which of this load balancer belong to which cell. So we created 2 different cells, so now we'll assign this load balancer to each of these cells. So first one I'll do with the US East one, because this is the US East one load balancer, and the second one I'll put it into US East 2, because that's the load balancer in the US East 2. So now my cells having 2 load balancers, US East 1 cell have my US East 1 load balancer, and US East 2 load cell have my US East 2 load balancer. And after that we can review and click on create readiness check. So my readiness check is created. So now let's open it. Right now you can see that it's unknown. It will take a little bit of time, maybe a minute or so, and after that we'll see that it's ready. And the reason because all the rules will be satisfied and both the instances under these ALBs are healthy. So we'll get it, or it will show you it as a ready. Let me pause it and then I'll come back, and after that what we will do for one of the load balancer, will stop one of the instance which will make load balancer target as unhealthy, and then we'll come back here and we'll see that your readiness status will show it as not ready, and here you will get a region as well. So guys, you can see it even didn't take a minute. The moment I paused and refreshed it, it showed me ready. So you can see that my readiness status is ready, and my both the ALBs are ready. Now let's go to my US East 2 ALB and we'll stop the EC2 instance for that. So I am in my US East 2, and let's go to instances, and what I'll do, this running instance I'll mark it as stop. What it will do, that my target will show it as unhealthy, and after that once when we go back to our readiness check, it will show as unhealthy or not ready for my US East 2, and the overall recovery group will also show as not ready. So my target right now is healthy because it will take a bit of time. So let me pause the video, and once it will show as unhealthy, and once my here as well it will show as unhealthy, unready, and I'll come back and show you that as well. Okay guys, you can see for this target group, this instance is in unused state, which is mad, which means that this is not healthy. And if I go back to my recovery group, you can see that readiness status is not ready, and the reason is for US East 2, that particular readiness status is not ready. And here it's showing that ELB does not have a target group which are healthy. So because of that, its status went to not ready. Now let's go and start that EC2 instance, and once we do that, this will become as ready. So I'm going to start, and again it will take a minute or so to start it and mark it as healthy, and then we'll go and refresh it to see whether it's ready or not. Okay guys, this instance is in running state. Let's go and check the target group, and under that, let me refresh it. You can see that instance is healthy. Now let's go to our readiness check and let's refresh it, and you can say, see, this is ready because my both resources in that my resource set is ready. Okay guys, so this is all about readiness check, and this video is getting at a little bit at the longer side. So what I'll do, I take a pause here, and please go ahead and take a break, and if you want, again watch this video to just get a good understanding of readiness check. In the next video, I will cover routing control and the safety rules. So see you in the next video guys. Thank you so much.